Hello everyone, my name is Josh, and with Monster Hunter coming out in just 27 days, I can't, it feels like an eternity. So in order to pass the time, have some fun, and prevent myself spending all of my days and nights doing this, I'm going to do a few little things, starting with my 5 favorite monsters in all of the Monster Hunter world. See what I see here? Top quality wordplay here at Rage Gaming. So this was incredibly difficult to do. There's so many, and honestly, 80% of them are solid 7 or 8 out of 10s. Nearly every single monster in the game has something that makes me go, yeah, that's pretty awesome. You know, I'd never put Plesioth. It's going to occur to me now, actually, because I've never had to say monster names out loud, because I've always not really known anyone who plays the game in real life. So I'm probably going to mispronounce a lot of these, because I will have just decided how they are said in my head, without ever actually checking. So apologies in advance, but Plessy, while I hate him with a burning passion, think he looks stupid, and detest fighting him, I still love him because it takes a certain kind of power to hit you from 5 zones away with a hip check. And, you know, that will always be a memory for me. In fact, there's really kind of no monsters I just outright hate. Even the Kezu and his roar that just... and everything about him, in fact, is kind of... not to mention the, questionable artwork he's inspired. I think he is the champion of love to hate him, really has his charm. In fact, all of the monsters kinda do, right? And that's the thing I love about them, how they do feel alive. They feel almost biologically possible, and you really do get a sense of an ecosystem when fighting these things, apart from the fact you're probably destroying that ecosystem by randomly murdering key members of it, but you know, that's not the point. One of the things I've always adored about this series is how just alive things feel. I mean, obviously it's super fun to actually play, but I love the added sense of just aliveness that's a word now, that everything kind of exudes. But there are a few monsters that do really do it for me, for quite a few reasons that we'll get into. But first, a couple honourable mentions. It would be remiss of me not to at least touch on Rathalos, and I have touched on him many times with a giant ass sword, and then he died. But I loved every single time doing so. From the very first time I fought him back in the original Monster Hunter on PlayStation 2, where he was, for me and many other hunters, the first holy shit moment the game offered, all the way to every single time his first hunt comes up in every single Monster Hunter game. It's that Rathalos moment, the king of the skies, the king of our hearts, arguably the monster, the poster child for the entire franchise. He looks badass, he is badass. Rathian can go fuck herself, because now I'm irrationally scared of backflips, but he is, well, he's the king for a reason. I do love Rathalos. And then the other one is Nargacuga. I love all the crabby, buggy, snaky type monsters, but Nargacuga takes the biscuit for me. Fighting a spider in her nest that's that big, that sleeps you, poisons you, has jaws that come plunging out of her face covered in spider saliva. All of a sudden she tries to bisect you. She's terrifying and creepy, and there's just been a shame that there's not been any other of her ilk since her introduction, and I think Monster Hunter World could really do with a creepy bug in its midst. I should mention, while we're mentioning, I am gonna skip out on elder dragons and smaller monsters, although I love Mephisto the Owl and Great Macau, who I think is the best example of an introductory, air quotes, proper hunt. And most recently in World, I think Pookie is just gorgeous. Lizard frog, flying, beautiful creature. I love him to bits. But for now, let's move to my actual favorites then. We're going to, and look, I will admit, you might walk away from this going, Well, you're a basic Monster Hunter bitch, aren't you? And you know what? I don't care, okay? Because these things are super cool, and I like them. In at number 5, then, we have Mizutsune. Mizutsune? Mizutsune. Bubble Dragon. This thing is probably here for my shallowest reason of all 5 of them, but it's simply that it's just beautiful. I love its colours, I love how it moves, I love its elegant design. I love that it's mostly a quite tame and non-aggressive monster. Only the males during mating season are a problem because they go a little bit murder everything in sight, which is why you're hunting them. Little known fact, every Mizutsune you fight is actually a male, so there you go. But they just sexy little, I say little, there's a fucking huge ass, like, death monster, but it is just beautiful. I love the radiant pink, I love the crimson it goes when it's enraged, but obviously more than that, I love how you fight it, the bubbles and soap that it has at its command, how it creates slip and slides to move so fluidly around you in the battlefield, making you have unsteady feet while it just glides into position and fires a huge ass bubble at you, like a huge Leviathan dragony type thing firing a big ass bubble at you. And for sheer uniqueness, I adore it. I cannot say, well, this is just like that other monster, but a bit different, like I can with a lot of others. This thing is my favourite of the Fated Elite Four, and I think it is just, well, beautiful, right? It's so elegant. Oh, and its battle music? One of my favourite in the entire game. So, yeah, not an incredibly difficult fight, honestly, but just a really enjoyable creature to be in the presence of. And that's something truly special that Monster Hunter can create. In at number 4, then, we have ourselves good old Deviljho. Oh, Mr. Pickle, the truest T-Rexy type monster, part of the Brute Wyvern class, which is, to be fair, my favourite. I kind of like them. They are the most dinosauriest of them all, and yeah, you know, I think I can speak for a lot of us when you say fighting a big dinosaur with a sword, it's kinda fun. Shut up, I am mature! And that's something that this thing really does for you, but it's more than that, right? Because we have even the newest Anjanath, that's kind of T-Rexy and, you know, very dinosaur-like Baroth and Duramboros and Urangan, which I have no idea why they're putting Urangan in World. That chili bastard is such a dull monster. Like, out of all the Brute Wyverns, why put Urangan? Now Deviljho was an elite list of monsters to be included in Worlds, so please let it be so. God, I can't wait to see him and how he interacts with the other monsters in the little fights that they get into. But this thing is just pure, unstoppable, furious terror on legs. It is relentless, it is powerful, and it is just, oh shit, when one of them walks into the zone. Now, as with every monster, once you hunt them enough, they become like nothing and you kill them by the hundreds, and obviously it loses a little bit of its effect. But with Deviljho, while I am at the stage where, it's just a Deviljho, let's kill it, there is still always that moment when he appears, because his thing is just going, hi, I see that you're fighting that other monster. Do you mind if I get involved? Yeah? Cool. And he just appears without warning and starts fucking your shit. And there's nothing you can do about it. The first time you meet one of these is guaranteed to be one of your most memorable Monster Hunter experiences, full stop. And that has been the case for me. No matter how much I have fought him, and are used to him, and have killed him, still get this moment of, oh, fuck a Deviljho, every single time. Oh, and by the way, fuck you, and everything that you stand for, you shitty little bird. This thing, in case you don't realise, likes to summon Deviljho, because it's just, oh, so much fun. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? He looks incredible in Enraged mode. He feels so powerful with everything that he does. He is a true apex predator, and he comes across as such. He is the epitome of relentless. He is fury made flesh, and if you even slightly take him too lightly, he will just eat your face. And he's impressive, he's intimidating, and he is seriously a memorable, intense fight that will leave your heart pounding. And I love everything about the Deviljho. He is simply awfully magnificent. In third, then, we have the Gore Magala, and this guy I love not because of him himself, though he is a very cool design. I love the way he moves, I love his attacks, the kind of fury he presents. He's very fast, kind of relentless, has a sick enrage mode with his horns appearing and glowing purple. I love this guy more for what he does, for the effect that he has on the world. See, this guy is the focus of the story in the game that he was introduced in, the game that he was the flagship for. And there's been this mysterious new thing affecting existing monsters, driving them crazy and ultimately then killing them. And we had to figure out what that was. Obviously, it turned out to be the monster on the box, shocker, and eventually bring it down. But it had this kind of build-up where you would see monsters affected by what was known as the frenzy virus. See, this frenzy virus was a naturally produced defense mechanism on the Gore Magala, and if it infected a monster, it would drive it crazy, and then it would die a few days later. It could also infect the hunter, though it had a much less severe effect on the hunter. If you as the hunter infected with it actually continued fighting, you would master the virus and gain a buff instead of the negative effect of taking more damage if you just let it take hold of you. Similarly with monsters, every now and then a monster, instead of dying after a few days after going on a rampage from this, would instead turn into an apex monster, a monster that had mastered the virus like the hunters can, used it to power itself up, has no longer any of the drawbacks, and is a much larger, glowing purple, glowing red eyes, vicious version of itself, and these things were a bastard to hunt. I remember doing a double Rajang hunt, both of which were frenzied, and Rajang is already one of the most brutal monsters in the game. He is pure muscle on legs. He is the Super Saiyan, quite literally, that's what he's based on, of the Monster Hunter world. He's one of the smallest monsters, but in the upper top tier echelons of power. His enrage mode is to literally get golden hair. He can pick boulders out the ground the size of houses and throw them at you. So you take this thing and then power it up with the frenzy virus from the Gore Magala, and you have one hell of a fight on your hand. By the way, Rajang should have been in my honorable mentions. I really do like him just because of how much of a heart-palpitating experience he is to fight. And the thing is with this Gore Magala, he is lovely because of how almost believable, again, he is. The idea that this natural defense that he has happens to affect monsters this way is really cool. It's not some vicious, evil thing. It's just how this monster protects itself that has such a devastating effect on its surroundings, because those infected with the frenzy virus can infect other things with the frenzy virus, and you can have this awful chain of monsters just going mental and then dying out, and you can see the devastating effect that would have. So not just for he himself, who is a really cool looking, awesome fight, who is a really good end goal of we're finally taking out what's been doing this to all the monsters. He is an impressive and satisfying culmination of the first part of the game, but I just love how he affected the world as a whole. And then to top it all off, to find out that he is simply just the juvenile of his species, and that he will eventually molt into a Shagara Magala, a golden, powerful elder dragon that made a ridiculous ridiculously awesome boss fight with just a fantastic atmosphere and music and weight to everything you were doing while combating it. Yeah, it was so cool to experience the monster in a more story-driven way, although the story wasn't great still, but it was still there, and I appreciated it, and I find this guy memorable, mainly because I farmed him so much, but still. In at number 2, then, we have the Nargacuga. Honestly, this one is for simple style points. This guy is pure cool on death legs. He is fast, he is agile, and by the time you know he's there, you're already dead. He lurks in the dark places of the jungle, red eyes glowing in the gloom. You hear a scream like 1,000 angry strangled cats. And then, good night. And it's really awesome. This one is here because as a creature, I think he's simply fantastic. He is a very similar creature on the surface to Tigrex, but the reason I prefer him to Tigrex is he's a lot more calculated. He's the first monster that I felt had a kind of intelligence behind it. It seemed to really be planning the best way to murderize you. It's the first monster I experienced that really dictated the pace of the fight and really made me be on the back foot just from the get-go. It was harder to just kind of observe this monster and get used to it because it was so furiously fast and aggressive. It wasn't just trying to use straight up brute force to walk through me and just kind of generally attacking in my direction. It seemed to have an overwhelming presence on the battlefield, leaping behind me, taking me with sudden attacks, firing spikes from its tail out of nowhere, and it was just the first super high-paced, intense fight that I properly experienced. The game that he was the flagship monster in, Freedom Unite, was the first Monster Hunter game I truly put an obscene amount of hours in, and the first time I truly started to understand the game at a deeper level, and he was the first fight that I really had to use that to get past it, and it was a really memorable experience. I can't really say more than that. I just simply remember him being badass, super intense, and super fun, and I think he just looks amazing. I mean, he's got blades for wings, let's be honest here. Anything that has blades for wings is A-okay in my book, as well as the fact he has a subspecies that can go near invisible for just that extra surprise factor that this truly stealthy creature totally needed. But yeah, I really, really like this guy. Nargacuga, simply cool. Then my number 1, this was totally easy for me. I knew what this would be as soon as I thought about this video. It is the Brachydios. This guy for me embodies exactly what a Monster Hunter monster should be on every single level. Firstly, he looks amazing. This obsidian shiny armor. He almost looks like somebody's taken a T-Rex, dipped it in lava, allowed it to harden, and then brought it back to life. But on top of that, and its jarring spikes that are kind of offset by how smooth the shell is, we have the club tail, but most importantly, the glowing neon slime covering its pounders for arms and the one on its head. And this instantly gives you an impression when you first see it of, okay, that looks like it's going to do something that I probably don't want. In fact, this thing looks kinda brutal in general. It's actually quite small for something I'm fighting this late in the game, which implies it's gonna be quite powerful and maybe fast. And then the fight begins, and yep, okay, oh god! And then you're merrily carting back to base camp, because this guy is nothing short of overwhelming when you don't have experience on him. Now that I have killed him more than probably any other monster in the game, I don't really get that anymore, but I still love fighting him because he really does have a fun moveset, and that moveset all revolves around a visual part of him, the glowing green slime, which in a biological sense is a substance that he secretes for defensive purposes, and I'm all about a monster that has a biology that it uses in order to defend itself, and this stuff has a special property, i.e. it's highly explosive. So what he will do is step backwards, lick his arms in order to prime the slime, then he will leap into the air ridiculously high and come slamming down on the ground with one of his arms, which is why they're shaped like that, and then leave a puddle of this green slime where hopefully you were previously stood and not anymore, otherwise goodbye to your health bar. This green slime that's now left as a puddle on the ground will slowly go from green to orange to red and then explode like a full-on bomb. And the thing is, if he hits you directly with his arms, he will cover you in this substance, which means that you will then explode like a bomb, and that's not pretty, so you have to roll and get it off you before that happens. But the real joy comes from when you do a little bit of damage, when you work out how to actually weave in your own attacks between his ridiculously agile, relentless assault. He will get angry, his slime will turn redder, he will look super impressive, and everything now explodes instantly. No leaving a puddle of the stuff that slowly goes off. No, as soon as he slams down on the ground, which is a beautiful moment in a multiple of ways, because you've just dodged this really impressive looking attack, so that's cool, but also where you just dodged from is now an explosion going off, so it feels extra epic. And then he also will shove his head into the ground and then trigger all the slime on his, I guess, horn at once, causing a colossal explosion that will really ruin your day. So seeing this guy start to lick his arms is such a signal of, oh my god, that I think it's wonderful, right? Such an innocent thing of him licking his arms is this danger warning, and I like that he knows how to use this defense system he has to such great effect. It feels like a proper creature because he is using his own biology to attack you with, and I absolutely dig that. The weapons this guy's make are also covered in the slime substance and let you hit things with his slime and blow them up after you've hit them enough, which is why I farmed him so much, because they were seriously broken when they first got added. But I absolutely adore fighting him. I think his moveset is wonderful. I think he is super powerful, intimidating because of how fast and overwhelming he appears to be when you first get to him, and I think he's one of the best flagship monsters they've ever added. I think he's truly unique and really should be in World, like, absolutely. I'm not sure they would do, because exploding arm, obsidian dinosaur, maybe isn't what they're going for to begin with. He might be a little bit too out there for the first of the new monster hunters, I guess is a good way to phrase it, but he is truly a magnificent creature, a triumvirate of visuals, a believable and awesome biology, and a really cool, intense, mechanically fun fight. He has it all. He is the entire whole package of what I would hold up on a pedestal and go, this right here is the epitome of a proper monster fight in this game. And that is why I love the Brachydios and his non-existing fucking gems. So I hope you enjoyed this. I really, really do. I want to do a few more things similar, so let me know. Like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and if you do enjoy the Monster Hunter content, it would mean the world if you gave it a like or spread it around and just help support it, because it's a kind of a niche thing, but it would make me so happy if it could be a proper mainstay on my channel. It really would. So all of you watching this, getting to this part, thank you so much. My name has been Rage, and I will see you next time. A goodbye.
Rage gaming with the video flow, shenanigans and Overwatch, and his fans all know that every single thumbnail that this man makes without fail makes you do a double take, catching your attention with every verse. See, say that you need healing but you're at his mercy. Get it? Cause it's a pun. On his channel, that's one of the better ones. Widow is venomous, I see no end to this. Cataclysm's imminent when Rage is in his element. Pandemonium is not familiar with irrelevance. Maximum Genji beam, oh so elegant. Jokes so funny causing you to cry. Editing is quality as the noon is high. Yo, concussion man, shoot to the sky. Cap it all off with a goodbye.